We are at the entrance to the bottom of the college. So let's get in. Let's go into St. Mary's College, also known as the Hell House College. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Supernatural Files, where we dive into the world of the unexplained and the world that we just don't know anything about. Join me as we venture into the unexplained, as we go into what is known as a Hell House for this week's episode of the Supernatural Files. For you guys that aren't familiar about the Hell House whole phenomenon, let's get into what a Hell House is. Hell Houses are usually haunted attractions typically ran by churches or parachurch organizations, designed to act as a moral instruction for people that have sinned, or they thought they have sinned, or that the church or people that are involved in these hell houses think that the other people have sinned. They depict acts such as which the organization deemed sinful, and their consequences, including the tormented, damned in hell, and usually conclude with the depiction of heaven itself. Scenes may include date rape, same-sex marriage, abortion, extramarital sex, rave, and the use of alcoholic beverages and drugs, and teen suicide. Other hell houses, in fact, focus their houses on what they consider the 7 deadly sins, which we all have been practiced or done in one way or the other. Hell houses typically emphasize the belief that those who do not repent their sins and choose to follow Christ are damned to hell itself. And you're probably saying, yeah, there's probably nothing supernatural to deal with hell houses, but that's where you guys are wrong, because hell houses by definition have so much negative energy, just like the one in Illick County in Maryland, where there was this church that was basically a school and a church in the same thing, and basically it was so disturbed what the priest did there that it marked that ground with such negative energy that it is said that place is actually, St. Mary's College is actually a portal to hell itself, where things that are not of this mortal realm can come and just inflict their rage and anger and everything in between into humans and unsuspecting humans, in fact. The Hell House College is the nickname given to St. Mary's College in Ilchester, Maryland. The college is also referred to sometimes as Creepy College. The college was originally set up as a Roman Catholic seminary during the 19th century and was closed about a century later. This also gained its nickname as a result of the numerous legends and rumors surrounding the institution itself, which involves the stories of satanic worships and ghosts. And when you have something satanic like a Ouija board or people trying to draw spirits in there, that's just, you're opening a portal to hell and other dimensions that you don't know what is actually going to happen if you open it. You could be inviting people or things that you did not invite in the first place to where you are right now. To first determine if it is actually a portal to hell, we have to dive into the whole history of the college itself. So let's strap on in for a nice ride and let's go down the history road of St. Mary's College. Hell House College is located on a granite cliff overtaking the Patapsco River in Ilchester, Maryland. In 1813, the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad was opened, and George Ellicott Jr., whose father, Andrew Ellicott, was one of the founders of the Ellicott Mills, renamed as Ellicott City, decided to turn his homestead in Ilchester, Maryland, into a hotel and tavern. The entrepreneur had thought that the trains would stop in Ilchester and the patrons would stop in his establishment. Unfortunately for Ellicott, Ellicott Mills was chosen as the main stop in that area, which meant that very few people were going to stop in Ilchester. The enterprise failed and Ellicott decided to sell his property. The businessman struggled for several years to find his buyer for his land. Eventually, it was bought in 1866 by the Congregation of the Most Holy Redeemer, a Roman Catholic ministry congregation better known as the Redemptorists, who intended to turn this property into a seminary. The purchase was made on the 12th of June, and the first mass was said to be conducted on the 28th of August, on the third floor of Ellicott Stone House, which would later become known as the college's lower house. In March of the following year, work began on the upper house, the college's largest building. September 1868, classes began. Community at the college is recorded to have a total of 29 people, including 3 priests who made up the entire teaching staff, and 19 students. Over the year, thousands of young men studied at St. Mary's College. According to one source, however, at its height, the college had as many as 100 to 150 students at one time. The college continued to be operated by the Redemptorists into the first half of the 20th century. The number of students, however, gradually decreased over time, and in the end, the college was forced to close its door in 1972. It was the dwindling numbers of students that resulted in the closure of the college. By the late 1980s, rumors about the real reason for closing its doors began to spread. One of these, for instance, is that an insane priest had slaughtered several female students. This rumor may have spread due to some confusion with the Papsco Female Institute. Another rumor is that there was a priest who raped the nuns in the college and was eventually found out. The ending of the story varies from one version to another. One, for instance, claims that the priest was caught. He managed to escape while the nuns became possessed by demon forces itself and murdered everyone in the college. In another versions, the nuns were found hanged with a pentagram drawn in blood on the floor below, and the priest dead from a self-inflicting gunshot. It may be noted that St. Mary's College was a seminary for men, not a nunnery. Nevertheless, such tales, as well as many others, were circulating and resulted in St. Mary's College being nicknamed Hell House College. And let's go back over the facts that the priest himself, about how if he were to rape the nuns, that would in itself, the priest has some fallacy takes when he becomes a priest, where they say that they will not have sex at all. And some religions go to the fact that the priests have to be married and they will sustain from a large amount of sex. But if it's true that the priest raped the nuns, that would release some energy in the church itself. And let's go back over the fact that the nuns were taken over by a demonic force. The demons have been on this plane for as long as we can ever think of, because the first demon was Lilith, the person that tricked Adam and Eve into having sex. So think about that. And demons, they look for the righteous people, and nuns and priests, they fit into that mold so well. So for them, demons to take over nuns' bodies, that's not all that strange. The thing that is strange in another version tells that the nuns had blood all over them, and there was a pentagram drawn in the blood on the floor. And when you draw a pentagram, you're just inviting all these evil forces just to come there. And the priest was probably driven mad, so he, instead of having a demon take over his body, he ended his life so that he wouldn't be tempted by the devil himself. While the college was closed in 1972, it remained in the hands of the redemptorists. Eventually, part of the property was sold to the state of Maryland in 1987. This portion became part of the Patapsco Valley State Park. The rest of the property was sold to private parties. Little has remained of the seminary today. In 1968, the lower house was destroyed by a fire, while another conflagration razed the upper home to the ground in 1997. The remaining structures were torn down in 2006, and among the surviving features of the college are the foundation, concrete staircase, and an altar beneath a colonnaded pavilion. So, in conclusion, is there probably a portal to hell there? Probably, because these things that these stories, the stories just don't come out of fact just because people are bored. The stories come because there are probably some truths to it. And is there probably a portal to hell there? Yes, and it's probably very active because people that go there aren't the smartest or the bravest. They just go there to get the viral footage so people will actually recognize them, and so they can actually record that there is actual spirit phenomenon. But you don't have to go to a place that has had all this bad history, and that there is probably a portal to hell there. Because when you go into a place in a portal of hell, you are probably not walking out the same, and you're probably going to carry a demon back to your home, back into your life to make you miserable. So just keep that in mind. Thank you all for joining me. If you like this video, hit the red subscribe button down below. While you're there, hit the thumbs up, click the notification bell to always on, and leave a comment down below. We are here at St. Mary's College.